Hi, everyone. I'm David Gonzalez, one of the producers here at Intimacy, Choreography, and Conversation. Thanks for joining us for part 2 of our conversation with Laura Rikard. If you missed part 1, I encourage you to go back and listen. Laura shared the origins of de-rolling and how it transformed the way that actors sustain themselves in their craft. Today, we're continuing with an inside look at Theatrical Intimacy Education, the incredible faculty Laura has built, the workshops they're offering, and how they're pushing the work forward in new directions. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe so you can keep up with every new episode. So let's just jump back in.
Before we get too deep in, I would love for you to talk a little bit about TIE and your faculty there and kind of how it's grown. And I know there's been some big sweeping changes, but you've got some cool things coming up. Tell us a little bit about your faculty.
Yeah, you're one of them, man. Now, Theatrical Intimacy Education, as it grew as a company, because we were educators who were also in the field, and because we had so many people drawn to us who were educators, we kept a model of education and educational titles for our faculty. As we grew, we wanted to bring people who had a different interest in poking the work. That was kind of the best way to put it. Who wanted to sort of poke the work in a different way, look at it, and then talk about their findings. So we weren't necessarily looking to grow a whole bunch of intimacy coordinators. We were looking to find people who could contribute knowledge to the intimacy field, but to progressing practices across our field. So we still have our core intimacy training, but we have all these other workshops now. Valerie Pye created one this past year called Facilitators and Boundaries. And it's to help us deal with our own boundaries in this space.
Oh my gosh, I need
especially
it.
when you come from a training of no boundaries, but you're trying to uphold this new environment. So the faculty, some are rooted in the profession, some are rooted in education. Some are very well established people in their specific discipline. Like Jeremy Sorto is one of the best voice teachers in the United States. He's at the University of Michigan, and he does this wonderful workshop on voice work and intimacy. I sat through it the other day and was like, oh, this is such a good workshop. What company gives this? Oh, mine. We have a strong, diverse faculty. Raja Benz, Joy Brooke Fairfield, and Leo Mock. I think they have created the go-to informative training about working with non-binary and trans folks. In this climate, they're constantly updating and bringing more information. Greg Geoffroy and Leo Mock created a bystander intervention specifically for folks in the intimacy field because there were so many bystander intervention trainings, but it was like, no, we want one that is for this going to help this role. Kaya Dunn just her work and what she's published and written about the foundations of race and intimacy is just groundbreaking. And your work, I mean, what you've brought to Broadway in New York City, and we approached you, I think, last year about joining us as an affiliate faculty of industry relations, and you have gone above and beyond in that. I've had team members be like, I texted Ann this, and she got in touch with this person and this person. And I'm like, oh, that's I'm so. Kim
100%.
Schneidley is really the only person researching the minors' work and created the first intimate minors' work. And I think people thought it was going to all be about like, how do you tell a child to hug someone? But it's rooted in the aspect of brain development and the stages of brain development. How that informs how you even have that conversation. So Dr. Amanda Rose Viriel edits the Journal of Consent-Based Performance, which is for everybody to write in. It blows my mind. We fund it at
I gotta
TIE.
get published in that.
I would love it. And we fund it at TIE, but it is for we have published people. We publish people that disagree with us. So it is a resource that is meant to be out there for the whole field. Gosh, that's like things that we do. Those are just a few of we have so many amazing team members, and they are the heart and soul. They are the spine of team. And it was really important when I took over sole leadership that the company became more about our team and more about the work they're doing, and that I would be more of a backseat so I could keep the company sustainable and thriving, still affordable. It's not easy to keep classes affordable and pay people in their work. It's not. But things that we've got coming up, oh my gosh, we have lots of in-person stuff coming up this summer. We are having an one-day lab for intimacy coordination and then a weekend workshop here in Asheville in May.
A class.
What class are
I'm
you taking?
signed yeah, I'm signed up for paperwork and
Oh,
documentation because I
that's
suck at
sweet.
it. Okay.
So we've got Asheville coming up, which part of the reason I wanted to do it, not just because that's my home, but to
Mm.
help bring back tourists and people to Asheville because we need it. Let's see. In Denver in June, we have a intimacy choreography for theater lab, one day lab, and then we have a weekend workshop. Also, because I mean, this is also what's just amazing about our team. Maya Brown was like, Laura, I'm going to be in London. I know folks over there want some TIE training. Can I do a workshop? And I reached out to people who like to host us, and they were like, yeah, here's a space for the day. So Maya in May is teaching a best practices / cooking with choreography workshop in person in London. So for any of our international folks, check it out. The symposium is coming in August. We're excited about August 6th through the 10th in Chicago. We have guest speakers, and you'll be one of our guest speakers. It's Learn, Share, Do. So it's an opportunity for people to take workshops. We have some lab type workshops where you actually get to do the work and get some feedback. We have Share where people can apply to share something they're doing or an aspect of this work they want to talk about. And then we have some TIE workshops that are normally only offered online. You get to take them in person, like working with trans and non-binary. Finally, we'll have it in person. And then Sunday morning, before we all say goodbye, we're going to give people the opportunity to watch some different intimacy practitioners do their work, because the big thing is like, I want to shadow you. I want to watch you. Well, it's like, but we all know that's so hard, especially for those particular moments, to get someone else in the room. So Maya Brown was like, we need to do something where they just get to watch people do this. And I was like, "Right."
Yes.
And so we're going to do that on Sunday morning. So that's what's coming up. And then we'll still have our digital online stuff. So people, probably the biggest change we made was we just had people for years and years that were like, look, I understand that you don't have to be certified to do this work, but I need a piece of paper.
Mm.
I've got all this grant money to take these workshops. I got to show them I got something.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's real. So we created the TIE diploma, and there's the beginning, intermediate, advanced, and advanced plus. And all of these workshops go towards earning different levels of that. In the fall, we have a big, big new thing coming up. So keep your eyes on social media for that.
My radar, my
Exciting.
little antenna are up.
That's just a wonderful example of like, how do you balance meeting people's real needs in this field that is still becoming what it is and holding on to your values and beliefs about the work?
I mean, it is what it is, right? We are still dealing with the business, right? I mean, Netflix has directly said to me, we don't care where the certification comes from, but we want something called a certification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, then I'm going to find a way to meet that in the most ethical way possible. I think also giving this work time to play out and see what people actually need and what people are asking for and how it actually lives. I feel like I'm the heretic of this work because I'm still the one that will say, people will say, well, what about when directors and actors say they didn't need one? That they have such a good relationship, they didn't want an intimacy person. And I'm like, yeah, I think that's awesome.
Great.
Because if they really don't feel like they need you and they hire you anyway, it's a waste of your time, it's a waste of their money, and nobody's going to use you anyway.
And have these skill sets and know how to communicate that and work together. Like I it's I really think anything that's black and white or all or nothing will never actually work in the real world, where it's like you always have to have an intimacy director if there's X, Y, and Z. Well, what's the story? Who's the director? Who's producing it? Who are the actors? What's the context, you
That's
know?
right.
What's the relationship?
What's going on?
Yeah.
I was in a show the other night where the two leads were married, and they let me know, like, we're married, we don't have any boundaries with each other. And I said, you never know. Some actors I've worked with who are married have very specific boundaries for the theater, but okay. But what they needed as we worked was they needed real movement coaching. They needed that. When we were done, they were like, "Oh, thank you so much for that. Oh, that looks so much better." So so again, assuming, like, I've had some people call and say, "Oh, the actors are married. We don't need an intimacy person." And I'm like, "Oh, I always say check with them, but sure."
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, and that's where this work is going, right? Is that more and more people in the room, and I see that in the clientele coming to TIE now, is we're getting more and more people who are like, well, I hired a person, saw them do the work, and thought, I can really do this.
Mhm.
Or I want my whole theater company to know this work.
Yeah.
We don't want consent-based days the day we're in the room. We want them every day.
Correct. Like, we want a holistic shift in the culture where it's not just one person in the room who's like the keeper of the work and consent, but that everyone feels empowered to do it beyond intimacy staging. Like, for me personally, part of my practice is any show that I work on in university or professional, I start with like a mini workshop that gives people shared language and frameworks to navigate consent, because
Yeah.
I feel like that pops anxiety bubbles a lot. But we want them to be able to navigate consent in moments that maybe you don't quite need an intimacy professional for,
Right.
but you do need some tools. You do need some shared understanding and language. And to one of the most profound and effective ones for me, which is something that calls back to what you shared before, is like not asking actors, like, are you comfortable with that? Because it's not about comfort, as you so beautifully said before, and just like having a clear difference on, we don't want anyone to be unsafe doing this work, but you will be uncomfortable. Like, it's uncomfortable to choreograph and stage and do an intimacy scene. And I love the framework you've introduced of the window of tolerable discomfort, or the window of, what's your phrase for it?
Well, there's the window of tolerance, which was, I need to make sure I credit that that's Dr. Dan Siegel, the psychiatrist. Dr. Dan Siegel came
Yes.
up with that. And this is a lot of my work about actors' work is you go above or below your window of tolerance when you're dysregulated and you're in survival mode. And
Yes.
the unique thing about actors is their job is to play characters who do go outside the window of tolerance. But actors with technique can portray that truthfully with, and either understand how to get back in their window of tolerance or how to never leave it, right? That's technique. And I think so
Yes.
that's, you know, establishing, yeah, that's conversations that all people working with actors need to be talking about to make
Yes.
the intimacy.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
I was going to highlight too that when we open the conversation to the room and we open the opportunity for people to gather learning about intimacy work and sensitivity work on their own and infuse their practice with that, is that we keep the idea of being saviors and gurus out of the conversation. I never want to walk into a room where everybody just acquiesces to what I think or what I believe. That feels crunchy to me.
Oh, yeah, watch
Um,
any documentary on a cult and see how many actors join them.
And then there's so many weird power dynamics if you are the keeper.
it's not
Yeah, it's really not. And also, it doesn't change the industry. If what they really want, the reason we got noticed by the Me Too movement was folks were looking for a quick fix to the giant wound that the Me Too movement exposed. That's
Yeah.
going to take over a century of healing, if not more, right? If
Yeah.
we want that to heal, everyone has to be empowered to have tools and have these conversations. But I think the thing that, again, this is why I think I get labeled as the heretic of this work is we can't, I don't think being precious about it gets us far.
Not at
it's human.
For-
Yeah.
And for me as a director to say, like, today, this is actually what I'm concerned with for you, because I'm also thinking about time and production and this other thing. You've either already got to have a skill set to handle that, or yes, we've got this person here to support you. But being, I think, really practical about the work, because it is practical, is really, really important.
Yeah. I love practicality over preciousness. Like, I always tell people, if we are veering into preciousness and if you're treating any of these moments with fragility, we've swung the pendulum too far in the other direction. There is, of course, a way to do it with where we are not sacrificing anybody's humanity, their safety, dignity, belonging, mental health for the sake of artistry or productivity. But like, being precious with it is antithetical to why even tell these stories.
Not only is it antithetical, it's also harmful to the endocrine system, because you've got people bracing for those moments in the script that they've been worried about since they auditioned. And that's constantly throwing the adrenaline off balance. Your dopamine is dropping. I mean, all the chemicals that make us up are all firing or depleted when we're not just facing this as something as basic as walking from down right to down left. I mean, it is a part of the process and not this precious little thing called intimacy. And that I hope that we're moving toward that with practitioners that understand that, and with rooms where we are welcomed when we're needed and necessary. And when we're not needed and necessary, that room can take care of itself, and that the people
Yeah.
that are running that room have the knowledge and the understanding and the confidence to move through difficult work with an understanding that we're human beings giving our all and trying our best to create the story.
And I know we don't have a lot of time left, but I think that I would like to bring this point up and kind of help transition it to is something, because I teach a workshop now called How to Hire an IC.
Incredible.
And it's for people who are making the phone calls and hiring people. Because what I think happened for a while and why it did fall into this precious basket was suddenly there was a need of ICs.
Hi.
Like the bad story that happened to me just was one time I was punched in the face on stage by an actor. And years ago in my
Ugh.
life, but early in my career that happened. And so what happened with IC work is a lot of people who wanted to be fixers got drawn to it because they didn't want their trauma to happen.
That's
But
right.
then they got jobs and they walked on set a rehearsal from the perspective of, I'm going to make sure no one here does that thing that happened to me. And that
So
would be
they
like
were
me.
triggered when they walked on the set.
And that would be like me walking into a room, always looking for the person who's going to punch someone in the face. People picked up on that. So people often talk about the resistance. I think this is where this idea of resistance came from. Is this person here to support me and be in conversation with this process? Or is this person just here to see if I'm doing something wrong? And I think that feeling did actually happen and exist for folks because people misunderstood the role who were hiring, and some people who got work in the role misunderstood it as that. And I think it's important we have that conversation so we can undo that. And also, when people hire, they understand the kind of questions to ask now, which the main question I always say is ask the person you're interviewing, tell me how you do your job. Because if they say, well, I'm going to walk in and make sure everyone has a safe space, that's not actionable. I can't get up and do safe space. If they say, I use open-ended questions to have a consent-based process, I have different systems for establishing boundaries that will work for the actors. This is how I speak with the director about the process. They're telling you what they're actually going to do once you get them on contract. And that's what you need to know.
Yeah,
Incredible.
that's really
Thank you for
smart.
offering that class. Like I feel like that's the next expansion into how we're holistically doing this work is the people who are hiring intimacy professionals having that understanding of how to vet people beyond the certification stamp of
Yeah.
approval.
And so people are getting work they also want to do. Like, right? I
Yes.
want to be in rooms where I'm wanted. I want to be in rooms also with collaborators that I'm the right collaborator for.
Yes.
Right.
There are jobs I passed on because I'm like, they'll have more fun with Raja. They'll have more fun with
Same.
Ann. They'll have more fun with, I'm not
Yeah.
Same.
I'm curious, speaking of being in rooms, if you could speak just a bit about like how you've been received as you walk into these rooms or onto these sets where you've worked and how that's changed over the many years that you have been doing this work.
Oh, it's different every time.
Yeah.
There's changed a lot in that I no longer feel I just don't really know why you're here that I felt in the early days.
Yeah.
And that wasn't necessarily a negative.
Right.
When part of your job was like, let me explain what my job is also.
Yeah.
And now when I walk in most rooms, most people are like, hey, come on in, do what you need to do. When I work in film and television, especially with established folks and folks that have been working for years and years, it takes a little bit more time to sometimes get them to warm up because they've been their own IC for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
It's not that they don't respect me, it's that they actually have my skill set. So so I always approach them with tell me how you like to do this work. Tell me what you know about it. Tell me, and get them in conversation. And I've gotten some great tips from actors over the years about camera angles and taking this.
Mhm.
So I, I definitely like the, I don't know why you're here feeling has gone away a lot, but I still, every actor is different. You know,
Mhm.
some actors are like, oh my gosh, you're here. We're so excited. Like, we've got all these ideas. Some actors are like, I don't know where I'm going to touch them. Help me. And then there's a show I worked on not long ago where two actors came in and they had been using placeholder for kisses. So the director thought they were going to use placeholder to show me what they had the moment, and then we'd set the kiss. And they just they were like, okay, so this is how the kiss is going to be. And they just did.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Would you like
Yeah.
a plan D in case you catch a cold or something? And they're like, no, this is how we're doing this kiss. And they walked out, and I jokingly laughed and just said, I've done 200 plays and I don't need you. And the director just started laughing. How did you know? How did you know? And I was like, I can read actors. Okay.
Yeah.
What matters is
That's
I asked the
fantastic.
question. How do you feel? Is it working for your boundaries? Do you need this? It's just sometimes the job gets done a very different way than the way it's laid out in training.
Yeah. And just like having the resilience, flexibility, and creativity to pivot around the people you're actually working with in the room is an essential part of this work that is not talked about enough. And
Yeah.
I love the offering of, especially if there's actors who've been doing their craft for a long time before this work, of asking them, how do you want to approach this? And empowering them to
And
have some agency.
and for me, I really want it to be joyful.
Hmm.
What is joyful today about what we do?
What?
I think a lot of people, we get so bogged down in the scarcity or this industry so hard or what might the character might be going through is hard. But this is a really joyful industry.
Yeah.
And I have met amazing people like you who bring great joy in my life because of it. And I often joke when I teach workshops now, I'm like, and intimacy day, yeah, it's serious play. But I know people in real life that have a lot of fun when they get involved in some intimate moments. So we could have a lot of fun simulating that today.
Hmm.
I love that.
Some people think they can't laugh when we're doing
Right.
focusing on intimacy or shake off their own awkwardness or whatever. And I
Yeah.
just remind people, like, we're going to have fun. Like, if we're not having fun, why are we here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like sometimes being so sterile about the work and so clinical, like not only takes away the joy, but like it robs it of kind of the life that you can find in it. Inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think when people again talk about resistance, that is actually what I have heard from some veterans in the field, of that idea of like, oh, but is it going to take away the spontaneity or is it going to make it really sterile? And my answer to that is, as long as we find the joy in the work, no. Let's figure out whether
Exactly.
joy can exist in repeated choreography.
Yeah. Even if you're talking
Yes.
about, in those scenes, there has to be a certain amount of understanding of this is a team. We're a team. We're telling this story and we are doing it. When we hear the audience go, oh, and gasp, that's a win for us. So let's just lean into that and take away the seriousness of the moment for us and kind of wink at each other and let them feel the feelings while we do the choreography.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the fun part of being able to be sustainable and being able to do it 8 times a week, is to find the joy in delivering the story and delivering the cathartic experience to the audience. You
Yes.
got 'em.
And in the process, when something comes up and we have to communicate, if an actor does come to us and say, I can't do it this way, or I can't get on top of that actor, going to the director and like I always say, when you got to have that conversation of something has come up and we are no longer going to be able to have the image with that person on top of that person. How can we work with this?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
This is all of ours. This boundary isn't that actor's boundary. It is now part of this process that we all can figure out how to work with it.
Yeah. It's just such an inherently collaborative art form. And I think that's why so many of us are drawn to it. Like we get to create together. That's such a special, special thing. And that intimacy and consent-based work is a part of that. It belongs in that. It's an extension of that.
And love is fun.
Love is
That was
fun.
fun. Love wins. We need more love in this world right now. It is a
Yeah.
tincture and a balm to a world that is reeling out of control. It'll come back, pendulums swing back and forth. But if we can do our work as providers of, like you said, technique and ways to move in, through, and out of the work, then we're creating a sustainable system that will be here much longer than this moment that we're living in now. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Laura,
Yeah.
you're the best.
Y'all are the
Thank you.
best.
Thank you so much for coming on and just sharing your wisdom so generously with us, with our listeners. I can't wait for folks to get to hear this episode. Anything else that you'd like to share or shout out or leave us with?
Yeah, recap the summit for sure.
Come to the TIE Symposium August 6th through the 10th in Chicago. I think that's going to be a good time. I feel like our new motto at TIE needs to be TIE, we're fun.
You've always been fun.
Truly.
Come join us and, grow, be in community. And, I think what's important with this work is we can disagree about the work. We can have different opinions about it, and we can still all have fun together at the end of the day. And that's true of this entire field. So I am just really grateful for the people it's brought into my life, like you guys, and honored to hear you say things like derolling is changing these actors' lives. And to think that I've been a tiny bit a part of that is super humbling. And I just thank y'all for all you do and for having me today and for your wonderful team here.
Absolute pleasure.
See you in Chicago.
I'll see you in Chicago.
Amazing.
You know I
So
will.
great to talk to you.
Bye.
Mwah.